faces close, but some never rest. When silence screams, we listen. This is dead and wrong.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Liz.
And I'm Sam.
And this is Dead and Wrong, your weekly podcast for all things dead. People, ghosts, animals, you name it. If it's dead, we will cover it. And today's episode is actually the first special spooky episode.
It's finally my episode, the day I have been dreading.
She has.
I don't like doing research, so this is not my forte. But I will be covering a hotel and a sanatorium for everybody, and I really hope you enjoy it. Please don't come at me.
Just know that I have been waiting for this because every day I'm like, have you done your research? Have you actually looked anything up? Have you typed any notes? And it's nice that I can give my voice a break for once.
I like your voice better than mine.
As a reminder, there will be socials posted at the end.
And thank you guys again for coming back and listening to us. Now let's get into it. Dead and Wrong presents episode 8, a spooky hotel and a sanatorium. So the St. Albans Sanatorium is where we're going for this today. So in the early 1700s, in what we now call Radford, Virginia, there was a Native American tribe known as the Shawnee tribe. They were the local residents in this area and would use the land for food, shelter, hunting, specifically around the New River watershed. So the watershed is a specific land area that catches rain and snow, draining all surface water and groundwater into a shared river, stream, or lake. I gave the information because I didn't know what that was. This type of resource for living also attracted the early European settlers to the area. Causing competition over the area resulted in hostilities between the two groups. In July 1755, a group of Shawnee Indians eventually brought tension to a climax, so they say. The Shawnee people attacked and looted the colonists of Draper's Meadow, which is what the Europeans called this area, killing at least 5 people and taking others hostages. To survivors, the Shawnee left behind grisly reminders of their wrath. In 1892, St. Albans School, named for the famous English school, was founded by George W. Miles. Miles was a 30-year-old graduate of the University of Virginia. He had been a college professor at Emory and Henry University before starting the school. This red brick building was built up to be a Lutheran boys' school. It was a school for education and higher learning. St. Albans originally opened for 22 boys and 5 masters, or teachers as we would say now, in 1892. It offered a classical preparatory curriculum heavy in languages, mathematics, and preparing the boys to go to university. Huh?
I said gross math.
I would fully agree with that because I hate math, but my husband would love math.
Your husband would.
Oh, he's a math guy. But yeah, so the school was preparing the boys to go to a university or to go off to business. As the school grew, St. Albans would eventually hold 50 boys. Now, the teachers seemed to have been hired for their athletic reputation and not their education levels. St. Albans was a powerhouse in the football and basketball community, which is why Miles wanted the boys to excel on the sports fields. A survey of the new boys, or rats as they would like to call them, back in 1898 shows that almost all were from the South. Their ages ranged from 10 years old to 21 years old. Given that 32 of 50 students that year were new, the turnover would have been relatively high. Most students quickly gained nicknames, some such as Bess and Fanny, Miss Maud, and as well as Shorty, suggesting that the boys were quick to exploit what they saw as an effeminate characteristic or physical shortcoming. As bullying was fully encouraged within these walls, as they were also teaching the boys to be competitive.
How is bullying
Miles?
being competitive?
I don't know. Who knows back then? Miles demanded boys to perform well in the classroom and to excel in all the sports fields. As a result of the hostile learning environment and to meet such high expectations, many would turn to an extreme methods as a number of the students would die by suicide.
Well, if your whole purpose is to bully each other, that kind of doesn't surprise me.
No, it really doesn't. It is sad. In 1903, Miles passed away, and the enrollment rate at St. Albans quickly fell. The students continued under various owners at least through 1909, but sadly, this ultimately led to its closure. This is a period noted by the National Register application when the school became infamous for bullying of students and faculty abuse.
What a great thing to become famous for.
I know. After the school was shut down, St. Albans reopened in 1916 as a psychiatric infirmary. It was supposed to be a better alternative to the other asylums scattered throughout the United States, with a rooftop garden, lovely, a bowling alley, and even a small farm for residents to work on and get a little sunshine help.
What do you think we have to do to sign up for that?
I mean, for us, it won't take very much to get there, so
Do you think they'll let us have rooms together? Or at least next door?
probably not. But conditions were far from ideal for the patients who were confined to the sanatorium. Vulnerable patients were subjected to cruel and inhumane experimental treatments, such as being poked and prodded and being used as guinea pigs. These often left them permanently disabled or resulted in death from lobotomies.
So my question is, lobotomy, they go in through your eye, don't they?
So they can do between the eye, they have one up the nose, and they can also draw a hole through the side of your brain.
But they go in
Like
through the eye,
the
don't they
temple
risk
area.
making you go blind? Or
No, not always.
I
You
thought,
can go past all those optical nerves right back in there.
oh, I didn't know.
hmm
Continue on.
Another treatment that they would use would cause insulin-induced comas. That's shitty. Insulin-induced comas were a common practice in the 1940s and 1950s. This practice was mainly for schizophrenia. It's not a good idea, guys.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. They would inject high doses of insulin into a patient to cause them to fall into a coma daily. This form of treatment was banned in the 1960s due to its lack of medical support for healthy outcomes. No wonder. Placing a person under an induced coma and causing a person to die, yeah. The hyperglycemia is when the insulin or blood sugar rises too high in the body to be filtered out, which can cause to the unconsciousness. It can also cause irreversible brain damage or death. Others were treated with shock treatment via electroconvulsion therapy. This form of treatment is where a small electrical current is sent into the brain. Nowadays, we place the patient under general anesthesia, but back in 1940, it wasn't a thing. Others were completely wrapped mummy style in a towel drenched with ice cold water or left to soak in a tub for days at a time during a routine hydrotherapy session. The sanatorium was ill equipped to deal with the thousands of patients that entered for treatment. By 1945, its staff to patient ratio was 48 to 6,509. That is crazy.
Sounds like some workers are going to get jumped.
You would think. The extremely small number of employees and the lack of training, not to mention the inhumane living conditions, led the building to witness further suicides within its already grim walls. By the late 20th century, the sanatorium was on a steady decline that finally led to its closure of its doors in the 1990s. So, according to paranormal investigators and the curious people that just like to roam around the spooky places, they say that not every patient seems to have left the building. St. Albans is supposedly among the most active paranormal locations on the East Coast.
Can we go?
Yeah, it gives tours.
Would you go?
Seriously? Why are you even asking? I already looked at tours.
Am I taking a trip to you?
You would have to.
Fuck it, let's do it.
Given the number of wrongful deaths that occurred within the walls, it's easy to imagine why this would become a ghostly hangout spot. People have reported seeing bodied apparitions, shadowy figures, and levitating objects while exploring the abandoned building. Others claim to hear voices or even feeling something or someone touching them. According to St. Albans, The place where it stands today was actually a settlement of the Central Depot that was bombarded by the Union artillery. This explains why people who have visited the building report hearing rifle shots, smelling gun smoke, and seeing spectacle mist rise from the hospital's surrounding grounds. The basement bowling alley. So, this area features sounds of phantom bowling, children voices, which is weird because I didn't really read anything about children voices or children in the facility, but I guess it could have been the 10-year-olds from school. Anyways,
Probably.
a malevolent presence that dislikes investigators. This entity is known to have glowing red eyes, a demonic presence, and is often blamed for pushing, touching, and scratching people. It is also known to be haunted by two female spirits, Allie and Gina Renee Hall. Allie is rumored to be the young daughter of one of the hospital patients, and Gina was a woman who was murdered on June 28, 1980, somewhere close to St. Albans Sanatorium along Hazel Hollow Road. I will be doing a story on Gina because it was pretty interesting.
I feel kind of bad for Gina because she, like, for one, she died, but then she gets stuck attached to the sanatorium.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably like all these crazy people.
But at least her story never dies. She's stuck to it and it keeps going on. I'm really glad her story stuck to this because her story is so interesting.
I can't wait to hear it.
So, on the fourth floor, on the women's ward of the building, is believed to be haunted by a woman named Rebecca. Rebecca is rumored to have given birth to a stillborn baby and hid the infant. Investigators report ice cold sensations in the room that she was assigned to. Apparitions are seen in a bathroom that has been dubbed the suicide bathroom. This room is known for its heaviness and oppressive energy, full of the memories and feelings from the resident who ended up taking their own lives here. In the basement boiler room, a menacing figure likes to cause injuries to the guest. This is linked to a maintenance man who died in there.
Well, that's not very nice.
No, I wonder why he's so mean. Once people realize that this building is haunted by its past of not only being a boys' school from hell, but also asylum, this place is a paranormal investigator's dream. So right now, broken toys litter the floor while old wheelchairs rest in place along the old, grimy, moldy peeling walls. The whole building has a dark and eerie feel to it, making any visitor aware that they are treading on the grounds sullied by decades of torment. This place does give tours.
We're gonna go to it.
Go look it up, go take a tour, go have some fun, be respectful. And yeah, it seems like a pretty interesting place to go. Yeah, that was the story of St. Albans Sanatorium.
Do you think, because it sounds like even after the school was done, there was still some hauntings from students, do you think the hauntings kind of messed with the already patients that were there and kind of messed with them a little bit more?
Oh, fully could have. I fully believe in that.
Now let's hear about this hotel. We can go stay at the hotel too.
Sorry, I have to make my font bigger because I am blind and I don't
She is
have
blind
my
and watching her
glasses.
adjust the font. I think it's funny.
I hate wearing glasses, so I just make everything bigger.
That's the way to go.
So the next one, the Cavalier Hotel and Beach Club. So this one is also in Virginia. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a Virginia theme. Heyo. So this famous landmark is located on a hilltop just a little inland from the shoreline of Virginia Beach, Virginia. It stands 7 stories high in a Y shape so that the majority of the rooms have a view of the Atlantic Ocean. It was built in 1926 but finally held its grand opening in 1927. This amazing piece of architecture is a masterpiece of true art. The structure comes complete with shopping, boutiques, salons, dining areas, and each room even has its own private bathroom, which are common today, but back in that day, only the rich and famous had private bathrooms. The place I speak of is the Cavalier Hotel and Beach Club. After a couple of years in operation, the beach club was built in 1929 at the oceanfront. The club included a performance stage intended for hosting musical events. This beachfront club became a go-to spot for famous bands to entertain guests of the hotel and established itself as the entertainment destination for 3 decades. It showcased many famous people like Benny Goodman, Cab Calloway, Glenn Miller, and many more. Not only did big bands come to play here, but people would vacation here for weeks or months. The list of president guests did not disappoint, for which included JFK, Nixon, Eisenhower, Ford, Hoover, and the list goes on. Now, if the bands didn't impress you and the presidents didn't impress you, then the top shelf list of stars is going to impress you. You had Bob Hope, Muhammad Ali, Doris Day, Judy Garland, Frank Sinatra, and even the feared mob boss Al Capone.
I feel like that guy went everywhere.
He had the money to, why not? So sad to say, but the good old days would soon come to a halt in 1942 by World War II. This once happy vacation spot was turned into a training facility for the United States Navy. The sailors would sleep in the horse stables or makeshift tents on the grounds while they attended courses. It would teach them how to operate radar. The hotel was returned to the owners in 1945, but the years without revenue was disastrous for the business. The hotel became a private club during the 1950s and 1960s, expanding stay operations to private style housing in the immediate area. The hotel eventually reopened to the public and continued operations enjoyed pre-World War II until the turn of the century. And then in 2013, a court order directed the hotel to be sold to new owners who began an extensive renovation with plans to reopen in 2016. So this court order, it sounds weird, but it was like the family could not decide on what to do and how to divide up the money. So it was court ordered to close the building, everybody get paid out, and somebody bought it, paid everyone out, and that person owned it. So they decided for a reopening date in 2016, but things didn't really work out in their favor. The reopening kept being delayed year after year because, well, for unforeseen events. In 2018, the Cavalier Hotel finally reopened, paying homage to the past. Upon opening and walking through the doors, guests would be brought right back into the late 1930s. A black and white checkered pattern swept across the main floor, elegant light fixtures ran along the walls, and grand staircases welcomed everyone in with open arms. Even a beloved shopping boutique, salons, spas, and fine dining establishments were reinstated. So now let's talk about Adolf Coors. Yes, the founder of Coors Beer. Trust me, it all comes together.
Talking about hotels and now we're talking about alcohol.
It's a big circle. So Adolf Coors was born as Adolf Coors, Kohrs spelling style, in Germany in 1847 to Joseph Coors and Helena Heinz. He had a younger brother and sister who he would eventually have to care for due to his parents' early passing of tuberculosis. At the age of 15, Adolf was a brewery apprentice where he learned the trade of brewing grand beer and running a successful business under a master brewer. With his trade under his belt, Adolf planned to go to America to pursue the American dream. At the age of 21, Adolf stowed away aboard a ship destined for Baltimore, Maryland. Once he arrived in Baltimore, Adolf was penniless and could only speak very little English. Between 1868 and 1872, Adolf worked many jobs while making his way west, ultimately settling in Denver, Colorado. There he was a manager of a bottling company and working 6 days a week. That is going to be hard. But he said
Back then, you had to.
people still do that today because they have to, man.
Sadly.
Yeah. So he saved every penny with hopes of opening his own brewery. In 1873, Adolf and a man named James Schuer went into business together and opened the Golden Brewery. By 1880, Adolf took over the Golden Brewery and renamed it into the Coors company. In 18...
Which we know today.
which is what we know. In 1879, Adolf married Louise Weber and had 8 children, with only 3 boys and 3 girls surviving into adulthood.
That's a lot of babies.
It's a lot of babies, but it's also sad that only 6 survived. So, sadly, in 1916, the famous Prohibition was in full swing in Colorado. Adolf turned his brewing company into a place that produced cement, porcelain,
Malted milk?
malted milk, and non-alcoholic drinks. No fun. This devastated Adolf and took a big hit to his company's profits. In early 1929, Adolf and his wife and one of his daughters took a trip to Virginia and stayed at the famous Cavalier Hotel for vacation. Told you it was coming back around. This room, his room, was on the 6th floor overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. He had once sailed across to start his American dream oh so long ago. On June 5th, 1929, Adolf had breakfast with his wife and his daughter. Excusing himself early from breakfast, Adolf left the table and returned to his suite, where he supposedly jumped or fell to his death. You pick. Adolf's body was found at the courtyard's concrete patio by a hotel caretaker. Following the event, the rumors started with people thinking his wife pushed him to his death. This theory comes from accounts stating he wasn't well liked by his family. Though that theory was popular, another was that someone else murdered him by throwing him out the window. A coroner ruled it a suicide, though. It was due to Adolf's deep depression caused by the Prohibition and the brewery's failing financial status. Adolf was 82 years old at this time.
I was going to say, I mean, I feel like it's also potential that his wife did it. Because if she just wants the money from his company, gotta yeet him off the building.
Well, the company still wasn't doing great. Like, it wasn't producing beer just yet because the Prohibition was still going full swing. It wasn't,
I feel
like after his death and the Prohibition was
over.
Yeah, and then his son put it back into producing beer.
Or maybe he just felt like he completely failed and
Yeah, so that's what the coroner ruled it a suicide, because it's like, oh, he was depressed because he thought he failed at his dream and he was in financial ruin. So they said he jumped to his death for that reason. So today, many people report seeing a body falling from the 6th floor only to vanish before ever reaching the ground. Guests have stated that they hear a loud thud while being in the courtyard, but nothing is around to make that sound. This is so sad. Is it Adolf replaying his death? Perhaps. I hope not.
Don't they say like is it like residue hauntings happen?
A replay of a tragic death?
Yeah, like that part just keeps replaying.
Yeah, it can.
Residual haunting. That's what it is.
Yes, it can. So over the years at the Cavalier Hotel, it has had many ghost stories and paranormal events happening. For example, employees at the Cavalier Hotel see lights turn on and off and cold spots on the 6th floor. The hotel reception desk gets calls from empty rooms on the 6th floor, and they say that it's not that odd until it's in the middle of winter when they have a low amount of guests. And there's no guest on the 6th floor. And it's the middle of the night. So that's when it gets really creepy for them. They have a ballroom piano that likes to play by itself. So that catches them off guard as well. And there are witnesses that see a gentleman on the staircase telling people not to go on the 6th floor because there is a ghost there. This gentleman has been seen to be wearing older clothing in a fashion of a common sailor of an older time. I don't think this man understands that he is a ghost himself.
No, I wonder if he died prior to all this happening, and then him and Adolf don't get along. He's like, don't go up there, there's another ghost.
He's a madman.
He's an old grumpy man.
Maybe. But one of the more sad stories is of a little girl whose cat got out of their hotel suite and wandered down the stairs. The little girl goes looking for her cat, calling out for it. And when she finds her cat in the pool, she jumps in to rescue. When she finds... I hate this. When she finds her cat in the pool, she jumps in to rescue it, but sadly ends up drowning. Her spirit is seen still looking for her cat around the pool, and the cat is seen roaming around the hotel, scratching at doors to be let in. People
At least they're
even,
together.
they're still looking for each other, so technically they're not.
Okay, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, that's
I'm
sad,
sorry.
man. People even
Hmm.
claim to see wet paw prints in places, and even though there are no cases of girls drowning in this particular pool, it has become a very big folklore passed on by guests and employees alike and forever attached to the Cavalier Hotel.
So I wonder if she almost came from a lower class family and then they just chose not to report it?
Like at this hotel?
Yeah.
You couldn't afford to be at this hotel at that time.
Maybe it was a really rich family that had like 12 kids and it just said, heh.
I don't know.
Or if they had enough stuff going on, they probably covered it up.
It could have been a cover up.
I bet it was a cover up.
Could have been a sailor's kid going around there. Could have been a worker's daughter going around there.
I wonder if it was a worker's daughter.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of covered it up.
Yeah. Never know. But anyways, so that's the Cavalier Hotel. It is grand. It is open. It is beautiful. It has an amazing spa in there. It is still super expensive to go in. I have looked at it. We're not going.
Dang it.
I mean, we could, but it's
Let's go to the
expensive.
sanatorium instead.
Definitely more up my alley. But yeah, it's a pretty building. It's really nice, right next to the ocean. If you're in Virginia Beach, you'll see it if you're driving down Main Atlantic Avenue. You'll see it. Great big place. But that's it for my spooky episodes. I hope you enjoyed them. Sorry for all my mishaps and have fun. We do have socials up and running. We will provide updates of episode releases and any fun things we come across. We have Facebook and Instagram. You can listen to these episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and Liz is working on potentially a third platform. Wow, you are. Oh my God. Everything
am.
is under Dead and Wrong Podcast. Please feel free to send in theories, case suggestions, things that you know about or participated in, or really any story that you want to share at deadandwrongpodcast@gmail.com. Please make sure that you give us consent to share anything you like us to have on our social medias. And with that, take it away, Liz.
And we will see you next week with another episode full of the dead. See you later.
Adios, chicken grease.
Where did that come from?
I'm tired, okay?